All right, we're going to do some reviewing. I'm going slow. I heard your plea. So I'm going slow. I might be here a while. So here's our review. I'm not going to review the alphabet. That's online somewhere. Please find it. Hopefully you're going to just look at it, write it, practice it. But the review for Greek nouns, gender. We know that the Greek nouns have gender, masculine, feminine, and neutral. Number, they're either singular or plural. In the case of a Greek noun indicates its grammatical relation to the rest of the sentence. All right, so it's either subject, direct object, etc. All right. Greek nouns can be divided into two parts. One would be the stem, which I think we talked about, and the ending. Very basic terms there. Wow, that just looks like a collision. We said that Greek is a highly inflected language, that nouns that are inflected, not infected, that are inflected, how we refer to the inflection of a noun is called declension. Now we'll talk about verbs, and you know, the jury's kind of split between the terminology. I think probably we will stick with, for verbs, we'll stick with conjugation. For nouns, we'll stick to declension. That way we won't commingle and there won't be any confusion. The case system, we're still reviewing. So in the Greek, you've got the case system is either nominative, that is telling you the subject of the sentence, or the predicate nominative. So we're dealing with that, and you would use helping verbs like am for the subject, potentially. Genitive, so nominative, genitive case we looked at to show origin or dependence. These are just kind of very generic, basic terms. We're not getting into the complicated right now because we're just learning the basics. Dative, used to show something or someone. This is going to be great if you can read my English. Other than the subject. Let's go over here. Other than the subject. Or the direct object of the sentence. This is just review. Now, believe me, there are people who they don't like grammar, and this drives them batty. But this is the way you learn. We'll put this as A because B, dative can also be used to show instrumentality. Tality. I think that's right. The means by which one does or accomplishes something. And C, also used to show place or time. This will have more resonance to us when we get into verbs. This will make more sense. The accusative case, used as the direct object of verbs. or to convey the idea of motion, toward, or the length of space. That's kind of a tricky one. Sounds a little bit like place or time, but it's not. All right, so those are kind of where we've been thus far. We also looked at first and second declension nouns. And what I want to tell you, because we're going to look at third declension nouns, and I decided that just get it all over with, right? But regardless of first, second, or third, because somebody out there is still saying, I don't know what that means. All it means is that one group has a particular ending, another group has a particular ending. The first group is alpha and eta, the second group is omicron, and the last group, third declension, is consonant, ends in a consonant. But no matter what, first, second, or third, they all function the same way. So all it is treating the end, the final letter of the noun that makes it fall into its classification of first, second, or third declension. But otherwise, nothing else changes. Does that make sense? Kind of. All right. Now the best way to kind of describe this kind of a nutty thing, but picture three vehicles. You know, one's a sports car, one's an SUV, and one's a Prius. I don't know what you call those, whatever. All right, they all have four wheels, I think, and they all move in the same direction. Their shapes vary, but their functioning is the same. So the declension is the same thing. Don't think because they fall into a different category somehow that they change. Just their endings, because of the letters, the final consonants, that is what determines what group they fall into. Okay? All right, we talked about the definite article. The Greek does not have an indefinite article, but only a definite article. Therefore, when we translate and there is a definite article missing, it is safe to assume in translation that we are looking at something that is A, indefinite, or as we call it in English, anatheros. There is no article, unless the subject is going to govern the whole perspective, and then we may actually borrow from the subject itself. For example, let's talk about a reference to the Lord, and the Lord may be, we can have the definite article there. It may carry over and govern something else. But usually, by and large, definite article translates to the, and if it is missing, we in translation would add a or an. So that's how that goes. Now, I told you I'm threatening with the third declension. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the third declension. Third declension, and I picked what I think is the toughest, the toughest noun, and yet the easiest noun. We're going to take a look at something. I'm trying to do this so you can read this at home. I'm going to try and write a little smaller than usual. So you know that's nominative singular. And what we're looking at will be the stem, if you will, of the word, the Greek word, sark, flesh. Okay? So it looks kind of strange right now because that's the root as it occurs. And what we're going to do is we're going to write the whole thing out. Just had a flashback of when I was a kid having to write something on the board. Told you the story, didn't I? Got in trouble for that. All right. So I think that brings us to, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. All right. We're going to put these, we're going to make them all look the same right now. I'm going to write the same stem because I want to show you what's going to happen. All right. So I'm going to put a little line here. The ending for this, sark, would actually take that. But what happens is that this letter combined with, remember, it'll look like this. That's the final form. For this particular instance, will morph itself into looking like this. This is kind of an exception. So that's what happens right there. That's how babies are made. All right. just checking to see if you're listening to me or not. All right? All right, here we go. So there's the ending there. So the word then looks like this. We went from sark, and os is the ending. So now we have here sarkos and sarkos. So you see what I'm doing. I'm trying to show you what the stem looks like, kind of a little bit different twist on doing this tonight. And then here we have sarki, okay? And then the accusative, singular. We're going to add, this will be the ending, right? And we'll have sarka. So that's your third declension. And again, I'm going to say this just in case somebody's not clear. It's a third declension because of what's going on right here. There is no vowel. This is a consonant. That's why it falls into that category. But it's just categorizing because there are some traits that will occur that maybe are unique because of the consonant ending. All right, in the plural. Let's do this in the plural. So we have here plural. And let's do this again. We're going to write out the same thing. I'm going to show you in the paradigm what it looks like. And I'm going to try and be a little bit better with my writing here. This translates into looking like this. So you can see what happens. That's what we're doing in the declension for this third group here. Again, I'm taking the stem, sark, and here the ending looks like this. So we have sarkon. It's pretty straightforward. It's not, it's not as scary once you see it laid out there. It's like, wow, it's not that bad. Especially, I think, because I'm trying to show you what it looks like, stem and ending broken up. Now this, again, another same principle as the first one, where you've got the two letters that occur together. So what's going to happen here? Same thing is going to morph and look like that, because of these two letters coming together force us to have a change. But that's the only change that's going to happen, those two changes there. And last but not least, accusative, plural. Here's the stem again, and us. And we have here the plural, sarkas. So that gives you an idea of what has happened there. And we've now just seen the third declension. So not as scary, right? It's not that bad? No, you're not answering me. That's okay. We've silenced all the voices of faith in the room after the Greek lesson. All right. So that's third declension. And I thought I would introduce, instead of jumping into the verbs, I thought I would introduce very quickly and very briefly, because I told you this is going to be a quickie tonight, and then I'll give you a vocabulary. And I'm doing this for the benefit of those people who may not know their language. It's impossible to learn a second language if you don't know the terminology. So I don't mean to insult anybody, but there are people who, when I say certain things that are basic, fundamental English terms in grammar, will go, So a pronoun, right? A word that replaces a noun. This Bible is mine. It is mine, right? It is the pronoun. It is mine. It replaces saying the Bible, this Bible. It is mine. Personal pronoun replaces a person. Pastor Scott is teaching Greek. I will teach you. I just changed that, but you understand, instead of repeating Pastor Scott now, that personal pronoun is replaced by, instead of repeating, it is I. Or if we were talking about somebody else, the teacher says, blah, blah, he will teach you. Those would be replacing the name with a personal pronoun. Now, personal pronouns, we have first, second, and third. First, I, we. Second, you. Third, he, she, it, they. All right, in English, I know you're going, why are you doing this? But, you know, it's for the benefit of those people who go, English. Yes, that's my language. All right, in English, just take a look at this. Just indulge me. In English, let's do it like this. First, singular. This is English. It's supposed to be anyway, last time I checked. First, singular, right? I, me, or my, me, my. You, your, you. And in the plural, sorry folks, plural, we, our, us. Or, sorry, you can do you, your, and you. Last time I checked, it looks like that. Greek, now is where you go, I hate you. All right, here comes the Greek. First person. All right, we're going to have case here. So everything has a case that you can be sure of in Greek. Everything has something. So let's do it this way. Nominative singular. You're going to love this. English, I. Ego, I. Genitive, singular. These are all pretty easy. Mu, or you might read it sometimes as imu. My. Dative, singular. Mui, or imoi. To me or to me. Accusative, singular. Me, or I'm writing these as alternatives. Me. All right, plural. This is just first person. This is to show you why the case is so important. Now, let's go back to what does the nominative do? Nominates the subject of the sentence. How many times have I said, oh, I, me, right? Now you can look at this in the pronouns and see how that works. I nominate myself. Just using some of these devices is extremely helpful to kind of get to congeal it in your brain. Here comes the plural. The plural of this. They don't look too scary, so don't be afraid and think, oh my, what's going on here? We. Genitive, plural. You know, the wonderful thing is at some point down the road you're going to say, and I was worried about that. That's nothing. Dative, plural. These are all going to kind of look the same. Slight changes here and there. To us. Remember dative, to or for, right? And accusative, plural. All these paradigms being put out there, us. So that's first person. I think I have room here to do the second person in a different color. And just right in between the spaces, or maybe right down here. Yeah, we'll just use it as a line, pretend line going, a pretend straight line going straight across, right? So, let's see if I can't squish this in here. Nominative singular, second person. Su. That's you. Genitive. This would be genitive over here, this line here. Su. Your. Dative. soy, to you. Se, you. Plural, I'll jump down here. Nominative plural. This is it's going to look a little bit strange, but not so strange once you start to see the pattern emerging. You. Here's the genitive, humon, your. Here is the dative. And I like these paradigms done this way because you can now start to see how the case actually is indeed what it says. For example, when we were looking at this genitive here, your, possession, remember? Origin, possession. All right. And last, the accusative plural, umas, you. So you've got first and second, and that's all I've included here. So that pretty much gives you, that's all I'm doing. I did a little bit of review, gave you an introduction to these, which are, it's a very short paradigm. And you're going to encounter many of these words. For example, let's take a look here. What would be equal to, as I have this on my vocabulary, I'll write it out for you. You'll encounter this imais 864 times, we. So some of these are paradigms to learn, but they're also going to be words you're going to regularly encounter once you start looking at the scripture in Greek. So here comes your vocabulary, and it's not a long one this time. I chose short words to spare you. If, 503 times. Pas or pan. And this is very interesting because pas or pan, which is each or every, and in the plural, it is all. We also get words like panta. This is an interesting word, for example. It fits into what I call 313, which is third declension in the masculine and neutral, and I believe in the feminine it fits into the first declension. All right, how'd that happen? I don't know. Somebody messed around back there, and that's what happened. But this is very interesting. So you don't need to know that. I'm just telling you that those are the, this occurs 1,244 times. I've tried to pick words where you're going to see a great reoccurrence, so you can start kind of looking at them and recognizing them as you go. Kathos, which is even or as. If you're interested, I think it's 182 times. Please don't count me and go crazy. If I missed one or two, you're going to be like, she said 1,244 and it occurs 1,247, darn it. All right. All right. Pro, which is toward or to. This one occurs 700 times at least. Para, 194 times. Meta, or you may see it as mit, or, pardon me, this doesn't look too good now, but you get the idea. With, sorry, I should have said that. Para is a big, I didn't give you the definition, but para is a big word in that it can be many things. So that's a word you'd maybe want to look up because it is the ultimate catch-all word, especially in compounds. Meta, with, 469 times. Ina, in order, or that, This is one you should know. I may have even given it to you already. Ek, or you may see it like this, written like this, which is from or out of 914 times. Dia, through, another big word, through, by, on account of. And last but not least, a word we just finished looking at in the paradigm, umas, we, 894 times. Not that you need to know how many times. I'm trying to give you an idea that you're going to encounter these quite often, so it's really good to just kind of get familiar with them. That is your small vocabulary for the night. Hopefully the review, as quick as it was, will help you, and you can go back and look at the other lessons as they become available online and kind of see if things don't start congealing as you hear the repetition, and maybe even words that is, if you're starting to try and go through the Greek, you're starting to recognize some of these vocabulary words. Get familiar with them, because you're going to see many of the, try to choose words that reoccur very frequently, so you'll start to recognize them as soon as you get into the text. All right, I need you to get on the telephone. Get busy.